MTD CNC, bringing you the latest engineering news, reviews, events and special offers via video media.
We're here to explore your use of Vericut and the Vericut software that you have. Can you tell us a little bit about what it does for your business?
Vericut's been a very important part of our business. We're in quite a competitive marketplace. While composites is fairly new, there are quite a few players in the game now. And we machine large patterns and moulds for the composite industry. We use very large, expensive machines. And utilisation of those machines is fundamental. To optimise the utilisation, we have to use software like Vericut that gives us confidence that the machines are going to do exactly what we expect, so we don't get expensive collisions. And it also gives a lot of other spin-offs like predicted run times and issues like that. So we see Vericut as fundamental to our competitive position.
Okay, I mean, that's interesting because a lot of our viewers will obviously be using machine tools and they'll be using CAD/CAM systems, but they might not know exactly what Vericut is. And you've just hit the nail on the head there, anti-collision software. Would that be a good way to describe it?
It is. We call it machine tool path verification. And the key issue is that we program our machines using Delcam PowerMill, which is pretty much an industry standard piece of software. And that enables my engineers to decide exactly how a mould or a pattern is actually going to be machined. But when it's produced the programs necessary to drive the machines, that then has to go through a post-processor that actually tailors the software that's been produced to work for the specific machine. Now we have three different types of machine here. We run a CMS, we run a RI and we run a JOMAG machine. So we can run that program on each of those machines, but it has to go through this post-processor that's tailored to the specific machine. What Vericut does, it takes the code that's actually going to operate the machine and it verifies that code will not cause a collision with the component during the machining process, and that is really important. If you get a big collision with one of these machines, they can cost you £25,000 to £50,000 to repair. You can be insured for that, but you can't really be insured for the loss of production, and that's what really hurts, because if you lose your production capability, then you actually have a major problem with your customers.
So what initially sparked your interest in the software? What was it that made you think, actually, this is what we need to go for?
Well, we're a young company with a lot of young engineers. And when we first started, the engineers programmed the machines themselves, and then they went and stood by the machines to actually watch them operate. I couldn't understand why they stood by the machines, and they said, well, it's just in case we actually have a bump, a bang. So I said, why is that? They said, well, there is collision avoidance in the Delcam software, but it's not good enough to be certain that the machine isn't going to have a bang. So we have to stand by the machine and watch it operating to make sure we're not going to get damage, which is very logical but very inefficient. So I immediately began to look for ways we could avoid the need for a skilled engineer to stand by the machine all the time it was running. And so we looked around, and various of our competitors actually were using Vericut. I spoke very highly of it. And so the best form of flattery is to go and copy them. And so we spoke to Vericut. They came in and saw what we were doing. They seemed to understand our business very easily and very quickly, because they obviously cover a lot of similar industries. And we very quickly learned that Vericut would be a worthwhile benefit to the company. And therefore we went ahead and bought a seat of Vericut, and we've been using it ever since. And it is a requirement that no program goes onto a 5-axis machine that has not been proven through Vericut. So
now you've eliminated your skilled engineers having to monitor the first program or the first machining.
Yeah, now we can do two things really with it. One engineer can operate more than one machine. Okay, you don't actually need to use a machine program to monitor the machine. You can use a skilled machinist who may not have written the programs, but he will be able to set the machine and operate the machine. But he's also able to operate 2 or 3 machines, or more importantly, operate lights out. And so we can actually switch the machines on at night and go home and come back the next morning and be pretty confident that the part's been fully machined. And I think the longest unattended run we did was 14 hours. And to be competitive, that's really important. The machine has had a runtime of 14 hours. We've not had to have somebody stood by the side of it all the time. And we've had the predictability that Vericut gives us, that the product that comes out at the end of the process is going to be right.
And on that point, you're a future-thinking business, obviously. You look at the best ways to be efficient. Tell us a little bit about Pentaxia.
Pentaxia is 6 years old. We started out as a small manufacturing company with a rented machine in a rented facility with no running water. It's a classic story. In 2008, classic time in the beginning of the recession. But we set about trying to provide a predictable service to our customers. So knowing that our machines are going to do what we require has been fundamental. And because we've done that, we've actually grown very, very quickly. So today we now have a composite operation as well. We employ 45 people. We have 5 big 5-axis machines, and we're well established in aerospace, the motorsport market, and in luxury automotive. And we will manufacture patterns and molds, but we're also now trimming composite components that we've made in our composite facility. And it's a rapidly growing business. Composites is a really exciting business. It really is going to change the way things are made over the next 5 to 10 years. And we're really pleased to be part of it. But as ever, we have to be competitive. We have to have the best equipment, the best people, because we have to compete not only in the UK, but we're now competing on a world stage as well.
And you've been trading 6 years. In 6 years' time, where do you see the business?
Well, we maybe rashly would like to be one of the best composite companies in the UK, and so we will continue to grow. We think the market is due to quadruple over the next 5 years, so if we just maintained our market share, we would grow substantially in that time, and we're very buoyant about the future. There's a great future, and we're looking always for the latest ideas, the latest technologies, and that will drive us forward.
And why is the composite market going to grow so much?
The benefit of advanced composites, it gives very lightweight with very high strengths. The problem has been, traditionally, it's been quite an expensive product. So it's only been used in markets where those values are very valuable. And that is in motorsport, in Formula One particularly, and in aerospace. But those benefits need to flow down to other businesses, because in this ecologically sensitive age, it's important that we actually minimise weight, because weight is energy. To move a weight from A to B requires energy. So lots more industries are now starting to look at the benefits of composites for these energy-saving activities. And you're starting to see composites come into cars. They're already in aircraft, as we know, with the Dreamliner and the Airbus A350. And you will start to see composite come into a whole range of new opportunities. And so to do that, we have to take the basic cost of the composites down, which means we have to be far more efficient. Far more efficient right at the front end of the start of the process, in the machining, the patterns, the molds, far more efficient in the production processes that we produce the composites, and far more efficient in the trimming and finishing of composite components once we've made them. And I think, to be competitive, Vericut has a vital part in that.
For more videos, products and news, go to mtdcnc.com or follow MTD Online on Twitter.